Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. It's so good to see everybody this first week of our book club, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. My name's Andrea Stutt, and I am so privileged to work with y'all. I'm so glad to see you. Thank you, ladies and guys, for making the time to do this, regardless of what else is going on in life. I know this is not easy to make time, but it's so worth it. 1 hour out of your week for the next 10 weeks to make this a priority. So I appreciate you. This is probably my, I don't know, I think I said fourth time. This is my fourth time to listen to the book. I'll just say that. I usually always do Audible because of my life, blah, 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 right? I have 7 kids and homeschool. So I'm like, this is how I get it done. But for me to go through the workbook has been a new like thing, and it's been more eye-opening. So I will tell you, if you are going to ever try to get a book, this would be the book to get, because there's so many nuggets, and it's just not one of those things that you can just go in and out of your ear. It's like to see it on paper, to be able to write it out, highlight it, write the answer. Like, I think it's worth it. So just my little thing there. But I love John Maxwell because he comes from a pastoral background. He's such a great teacher, and he's humble, and he's actually, I know he's spoken at least one of our Plexus conventions, at least one, maybe more. I just can't remember right now off the top of my head. So I love him. So one of the things that I loved opening this up is, we all decided, as a team at the end of November, or a couple weeks into November, I should say, that we were going to row this boat together. Remember that visual of us rowing the boat? And we knew that it was going to take some new effort. It was going to take something outside of what we were already doing, not just the same thing, something different that's going to stretch us. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm already feeling the growing pains, but it's a good kind of growing pain. It's reminding me of like when you decide to start working out and your muscles get sore, right? Or you decide to level up in your workout because you've hit a plateau, and it hurts when you're doing it. But man, the satisfaction when you're done is just amazing, I'm gonna mute. I'm just gonna mute somebody. If there's talk, I mean, I kind of want y'all to not be muted so you'll talk, but it's okay if you mute when I'm talking. That's fine. Okay, so this is my first time as a leader to lead a book club. Pat's helping me, thank the Lord. But all that to say, I had to really try to figure out, what are we actually going to talk about this profitable? So hopefully y'all are going to get some good stuff out of this, and I'm going to be asking y'all questions. So be ready. Okay. So one of the things I loved in, I guess, the introduction is he talks about how he has written this book before and he's had to revise it because he had to add a couple of laws, or he had to kind of combine a couple of laws. And he says, that just goes to show, it's kind of like, it's in a way, these are laws that cannot be changed, and they are laws that must be learned. But there's so many different aspects to it that he's had to add some things as he's gone. Like he said, when he went to a developing country and tried to teach these principles, he realized that he had put a paradigm of leadership that's here in the States is going to look different than in a developing country, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if y'all caught that. I guess he says the law, there's a little bit of a privilege of leadership here, or a title thing here, whereas that's not always the case. Just because you have a title doesn't mean that you're a leader. So he learned in developing countries that it's more about their influence, which should actually be encouraging to us, because he says, he added the leaders add value by serving others, which is super important. You can be a leader by title, but if you're not serving others, you're really not a leader. And then the flip side that's encouraging to me is that says anybody can be a leader, because anybody can serve. and gain influence because of their servant's heart, so I thought that was good. Okay. So he says, two other things I'm reminded of as I've taught these 21 laws the last 10 years. Leadership requires the ability to do more than one thing. He says, what is the one thing? He said, somebody asked him at a conference, what is the one thing I need to know about leadership? And he said, the one thing you need to know about leadership is that there's more than one thing you need to know about leadership. To lead well, you must do 21 things well. So catch that. But then he also said on the flip side, no one does all 21 laws well. So take a deep breath, take a sigh of relief. Okay. Despite the fact that we must do all 20 things well to be excellent leaders, in reality, that none of us will do them all well. Okay. So he says, for example, I am average or below average in 5 of the laws, and I wrote the book. He says, so what is a leader to do? This is so good. Ignore those laws? Just ignore them because I'm not good at them? No, he says, develop a leadership team. And that's why we're here, because there's no way on God's green earth I can be good at all these things and lead y'all. Like, I can't do that. I need every one of y'all, and we all need each other. And then vice versa on your teams, you need people that have the other that lead well in other areas too. So remember that as we're talking. But the one thing you need to remember is these laws can all be learned. So like if you are weak in an area, don't just say, well, that's just not an area I'm strong in. Say that's an area I can grow in and I can learn in. The laws can stand alone. So like each law complements the others, but you do not need one in order to learn another. So like, let's say you right now feel weak in your in law of influence. Okay. But that doesn't mean you can't grow in all the other areas. It's don't, because I know some people, are very black and white, and they feel like, well, if I can't do one, I can't do them all. Or if I can't do them all, then I'll just quit and do nothing. No. Don't do that. Like grow in the areas that you see, okay, I can grow in this one, and then just put the others like behind the others and grow those last if you have to, it's okay. Laws carry consequences with them. So like you violate or ignore these laws, then you will not be able to lead others. So it's like, he's letting you know, like have grace on yourself that you're not going to be great at all the laws, but also doesn't mean you can just ignore them either. As we go through the chapters, you're going to have, I know I am having a lot of aha moments. So just come with your ears open and your eyes open, and it's going to be good. And these laws are the foundation of leadership. Once you learn these principles, you have to practice them and apply them to your life. So that means to me right now, it's one thing to just hear these books, hear the words and go, oh yeah, that's so good. What an epiphany. But if you're not practicing them and applying them in your business and in your life, because you can do this as a parent, you guys, we're going to grow as parents in this. We're going to grow as leaders in our churches. We're going to grow as leaders in our communities, leaders in our homeschool co-op. This is going to grow us in all those areas. So we have to be applying the things that we're learning. And one of the things I wanted to share with y'all, I just caught myself doing it's honestly been since Jewel School, since Dory and I went. I would be like, in different situations when I've been like this morning, like I didn't get to sleep till almost 2 a.m., which is extremely unusual for me. And there's a reason why. I won't get into it. My kid had surgery this morning and I had a birthday this morning. I could have very easily been like, you know what? I have too much going on. I just can't do it all. But I was like, what would a leader do? I said that to myself. What would a leader do? So I've been saying that to myself in different situations where I've wanted to bail, honestly. So just know, like, I'm like y'all, I want to bail sometimes. I feel I have overwhelming moments, but we have to think, what would a leader do? So what would Jesus do? What would a leader do? Those little bracelets. What would a leader do? I'm just kidding. Okay. All right. So there is like a really cool evaluation, I think, if you don't have the workbook, it's in the back of your appendix. I encourage y'all to go through that evaluation. Has anybody gone through that evaluation yet? Just raise your chat hand if you have. Okay.
Do you know if it's available on the Audible? Or I have to get the book in order to see that?
Oh, girl, I have no idea.
Okay.
You can look. Sometimes those things are
Yeah.
available. I haven't even looked. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I thought about it as I was listening to him talk, and then I was like, I didn't remember to go back and check after I finished the chapter.
Let me tell you this. If you just want to get one book, just get the workbook, because the workbook has, I don't know if it has all of the reading, but it has a lot of the reading in it.
Okay,
So,
so to get the workbook and not the actual book.
like if you can't get 2 books, just get
Uh-huh.
the workbook. That would be what I would encourage you to do.
Okay, because I was looking on Amazon and I couldn't find the regular book very easily. Like
Yeah,
it
it was harder
more.
to get. It was harder to get. So just get the workbook. It
Okay.
has a lot of the, it may have all of the reading in it. I don't know. If somebody knows, they can pop in. Anyway. So, okay. All right. So we're going to go over first the law of the lid. Okay. Chapter 1. Okay. So something important to understand is, why is leadership even important at all? Well, the bottom line is it's going to impact your effectiveness in this business. You can't be a manager of a team and lead a team. Like you being a manager of a team, which means maybe good at customer care in the sense like you take care of customers, you recruit, you maybe even all of your ambassadors that do the business, maybe you do everything for them too. Like you set up all their people and you do all the things, right? That's being a manager, not a leader. So I want you to think of ways as I'm talking, like what is the difference between a manager and a leader? Okay. Your leadership ability is always the lid. Your leadership ability is always the lid on an individual's effectiveness. So like you as the leader of your team is what I'm trying to say. Your ability is always the lid of how effective your team is going to be. I mean, I'm sure there's that exception to the rule where someone under you will surpass you in leadership, but most of the time the team is going to do as much or less than the leader does. So just think about that. Your ability and your lid is your team's potential. Like that is like, if you're thinking, why is my team not growing? Why, you need to reflect back on you. Like, what do I need to do different as a leader? And that's in those questions for the little evaluation too, by the way. So that's why I think it'd be good if y'all all take it. So he says the leadership ability determines the person's level of effectiveness. Okay. So when you were reading about this story about the McDonald's brothers, did y'all find that story interesting? Yeah. So I never honestly knew the history of McDonald's. I had no idea. So it sounded like Dick and Maurice, the brothers, were pretty smart business guys, right? Like they were entrepreneurs. And when they decided to build the franchise, that's where it was obvious that they had reached the max of their leadership lid. And so then this other guy ends up buying it out. What's his name? Ray Kroc. He was the leader. He was the one that did all the things of sacrifice to invest back in this company and make it a multi-million-dollar enterprise, basically. There was a difference there. So the story kind of reminded me of when someone is a diamond and or let's just say a jewel, an emerald, okay? And they're a really great recruiter and they have like 100 level ones that are all product users, but their leadership lead is like this. It's literally like this. If you look at the diagram, I don't know where it is in the book, but it's on our workbook. It's pages 6 and 7. It's the little diagram of it's got success without leadership, and then it's got success with leadership. Okay. If you have success without leadership, that means basically you're a hard worker and you work hard, you bust your tail. Okay. But you're not developing leaders. So you're just like basically recruiting a ton of product users and you're not developing leaders. Okay. So you're having success in your business and you may get to emerald. Okay. But he was saying, let me read this real quick. He says, to increase your level of effectiveness, you have a couple choices. You can work very hard to increase your dedication to success and excellence. And you could work toward becoming a 10 on the scale, right? It's possible that you can make it to that level, though the law of diminishing return says the effort it would take to increase the last 2 points might take more energy than it did to achieve the first eight. If you really killed yourself, you might increase your success by 25%. But you have another option. You can work hard to increase your level of leadership. So let's say your natural leadership ability is a 4, which is slightly below average, he says. Just by using whatever God-given talent that you have, you already increase your effectiveness by 300%. But let's say you become a real student of leadership and you maximize your potential. You take it all the way up to a 7, and then visually he shows you the results, what they would look like. So it's like kind of like Michelle Struchel said on the call the other day. Do you want 5 leaders to give you 500 points basically? Or do you want to recruit your own 100 people, something like that? I forget how she worded it, but you got the gist. Like, think about it. This is really the same concept. So question for y'all to think about. How effective will a person be if he increases his leadership, but not his work ethic? How effective will based on what we just talked about, how effective will a person be if he increases his leadership, but not his work ethic? Anybody want to, let me, somebody raise their hand. Okay, Pat.
Well, he'll have initial effectiveness, but of course it will diminish because he's not trained his muscles to stay at it.
Yes. Okay. That's good. I think, does anybody else have any thoughts before I say? I don't want to just talk the whole time. So what he is saying in here though, and I think he's getting at, is if you just work on your leadership, meaning like if you focus on that, you actually will be more effective because you focused on your leadership. That's actually, I think, what he's saying. He's not saying,
okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of a tricky question. I had to read it like 3 times.
That's what I thought, but I was like, because I was like, well, when you asked that question, it's like, well, I needed to know how good someone's work ethic was for me to answer that.
Yes, that's
right,
so.
Go ahead. Sorry, because this book, I'm definitely a manager, 100%. So I know, like in my brain, I'm like, oh, actually, even just doing this, I was like, if I just did this, it's actually less work than I was kind of doing, but it'd be more effective.
Yeah.
Like what you guys gave us, is what I realized I was wasting a lot of time on some things. But like, yeah, so, just mathematically, it's like, if your leadership increases, then you do the same amount of work, but then it increases like your approach, what you get out of it.
Yes, that's exactly what he's saying. So sorry, Pat, to put you on the spot and ask you a trick question. Sorry, because I actually had to read it like 3 times and go, wait, what is he asking? But it really, it's like, if you don't increase, obviously it's assuming you have a baseline work ethic, obviously, right? If you don't even worry about your work ethic, but you increase your leadership, ability, you actually are more effective. You are going to be. And I like to look at things in like examples. It would be like equivalent to like when Michelle Stuchel was saying, when she realized she wasn't developing silvers and duplicating, she like honed in on a million different how to develop silver videos, or listened a million times to the same video and actually took that and applied it. So it'd be like doing that over, I'm probably going to step on some toes here, and it's not because I'm trying to, it's because I feel it when I say it. It'd be like,
you're being a leader.
I'm trying to be a leader. It would be like, thank you. I love you, Diana. Diana knows me. She's like, I know you're not trying to be mean. It'd be like if you honed in on how do I develop silvers and how do I put that into action over how can I waste 10 hours a day on reels and find reels. Now, let me just say, Diana knows, Diana loves reels, and I love me some reels. Reels are going to get you traffic, and there's a point to a reel. It's not that it's a waste of time, but if all I'm doing is focusing on reels, then what I'm most likely going to do is just get traffic and get new people in my funnel, but that's not going to develop leaders. So like, remember, there's different buckets to the business. There's recruiting, there's retention, there's leadership, right? So this is the leadership bucket. It's what's going to duplicate and multiply and cause your team to snowball. Okay, so just remember that. So always do leadership over the other stuff. Okay. Customer care though is leadership. Okay, like I want to be clear. If you're a good leader, you're going to take care of your customers without a doubt. That's just part of it. Okay, so another question answer time. Okay, so, and I want other people to chime in. What criteria can be used to determine a person's leadership ability? What criteria can be used to determine a person's leadership ability? Someone just give me like one thing in the chat. You don't even have, or you can say it. Go ahead.
If they have people following them or not.
Yes, if they have people following them, are people following them? Yes. Good. Joanna says people skills. Very good. Anybody else? What criteria can be used to determine a person's leadership ability?
Influence.
Good. Influence. Good. Very good. That's good. You have to have people skills. You have to have influence. People have to follow you, period. That's good. Anybody else?
I think just sorry, it's Dory, I'm driving, so I'm
Dory,
trying
yeah.
to focus, but integrity and just your morals and values.
Oh, absolutely. People, you have to have integrity. Absolutely. People will catch on to you if you don't. And then another two things would be vision. You have to have vision. You have to have big picture vision. And you have to have results. People have to see like, now I have to be careful with this because if you're black and white, you're going to be like, well, if I'm not a diamond yet, then I can't tell people that they can make their way diamond. That's not what that means. That just means like you're putting the work in and you have something to show. You have some kind of fruit to show for it. Okay. That's all that means. And even if, I mean, I even think someone can lead people even if they're new in the business, but here's the deal. That would go back to they've had results in other areas of life, right? So maybe they didn't have results yet in this business, but they've had other results in life. So that comes to this. So somebody tell me, what are some clear signs of someone's leadership strengths? Strengths. Just give me like one thing. You can say it or chat it, whatever. Clear signs of strengths in a leader that you've seen, that you've observed in other people. And maybe that's kind of what we already said. Sorry, go ahead. Somebody.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was going to say confidence too, but also just what you said, just a vision, just that casting vision, and like people, they are able to cast it so people know like where they're going and they're confident in that.
Good. That's good. That's good. Belief, courage, and what they're doing. People are following them. Good. Okay. Weaknesses. Have you picked up on weaknesses before?
I would say a
Arrogance.
weak leader. Sorry.
But who's that? What? Who's talking? Okay. They're in different spots. Joanna said lack of vision or respect. That's good. Yeah. Pat, were you going to say something? You look like you were. Okay. Megan says weakness could be indecisiveness. That's good. That's good. Diana says when they can't adapt when things change. Oh yeah. And we know about that. We've had to change, but that's a sign of a weak leader would be, and I hate to say weak leader because like, here's the deal. We've all had moments of weakness. So don't feel like I'm stepping on your toes here, but you've learned to you've learned to pivot. That's right. Instead. Arrogance. Oh my gosh. Yes. When someone's arrogant, you don't want to follow them. No.
Negativity.
Negativity, absolutely. And when you're negative, your team will be negative. And who wants a team culture of negative people? I know, thankfully, we do not have that at all. And I'm super proud of y'all. for always wanting to see the best in people and in situations. So hot then cold. Yes. Yeah. When you're in and out, people pick up on that. I hate to say that, but, and I always tell this story, but I think it's important. When I first decided to actually join Plexus, I was actually closer to this mom at Homeschool Co-op than Dory. And she actually was the one who first introduced Plexus to me. But when I actually decided to actually join Plexus, I went with Dory instead. And you want to know the reason? Because this gal was in and out of the business and I saw it. And I was like, even though I wasn't going to do the business, I still had that enough in my head. Like, I don't want to sign up under someone that's in and out, because that to me says she either doesn't believe in the products or what she's doing or something, or she may be hard to get a hold of, or I don't know, but I want to go with someone that's consistent. So that's why I chose Dory. And I didn't know Dory as well as her. So something to think about.
Yeah, when someone seems flaky in one area, we feel like they might be a little flaky in any area.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and this is where leadership comes into play, y'all. Like, this is where you guys are going to stand out from all those other Plexus ambassadors on Facebook. That when your husband's cousin's neighbor sells it and your husband's cousin says, it's okay. I mean, if I ever go with anybody, I'm going to go with my cousin. But then they keep watching you. And then all of a sudden, a year later, they say, you know what? I wanted to join you because now I'm actually ready to do the business, because you're consistent. And I see that you're a leader. They don't say you're a leader, but that's what they're saying.
I've had people.
Yeah, Andrea, I just wanted to.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I just was going to go off of that. Is over the years, I'm sure you guys have all recognized this. How I have seen multiple people. They've gone through like 3 or 4 different MLMs since I've been with Plexus. And that's why it's so hard for me when people jump ship, which I am never going to say God did not call them. I'm never going to speak to that because I have no idea what God's calling them to do. Maybe he did. And so I don't have anything against that. I'm just saying, for me, that goes back to the integrity part of it. And sometimes I think God may even call you out of the business. I just think for you to jump around, people are watching, and it just doesn't look like, it doesn't reflect someone with confidence. And like we're talking about, like a vision, like they know what they're doing, what they're passionate about something, and kind of what they're gifted in and what they're wanting to take other people along with them. I mean, does that make sense? Like, I just see people that have no clue what they want out of life, or no clue where they're going or what they're doing. And they're just jumping around trying to find, and I'm not beating on or bashing on those people. Like, I think they're doing the best. I think they just don't understand, but it's so true. Anyway, I see it all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love some of these, Megan saying she could have joined her sister-in-law. And I remember Megan joined me instead of her sister-in-law. And it was the same reason. Diana said, I've had people want to join me because they felt like they knew what I was talking about, or I knew what I was talking about. That's right. Yeah. Because their person quit and then they want to restart. Yeah. So it's just the consistency, the integrity, the belief, it all speaks to people. Okay. So how long does it take you to determine a person's leadership lid once that person has been put in charge of a team? How long does it take? Wait, that's not the question I want to ask. Sorry. Forgive me. Just stop. I'm like, what? Describe signs indicating that a leader has hit his or her lid. This is good. Describe signs. Just give me one sign. You can pop up and say stuff indicating someone has hit his or her lid.
You see them withdraw or pull back, like because they feel that stuckness.
Yes. Yeah. That's good. Megan, do you have any thoughts?
I just feel like I was trying to type it, but like the growth slows down, and sometimes like you just like you go downhill almost, like maybe management mode, but then things kind of slide backwards, because if we're not growing, then there's no such thing really as standing still. I think we're either gaining momentum or we're losing it.
Yeah.
So the growth stops, slows down, goes backwards.
Yeah. That's good. What else? I mean, there's not a lot more choices, but they're not being successful. Maybe they've hit a rank and they're not they're not really even trying to get to the next one. They're not trying to grow. They're just kind of happy where they are. I mean, there's one thing to be content, and I get that, but when we're talking about leading a team, see, I always look at it this way. If this was all about me, I'd be like, yay, I'm Emerald. I'm happy where I am. But that's all about me. So like once I hit Emerald, which was kind of like for me, that pinnacle goal, like, okay, if I can get to Emerald, that means I can show my team how to get to Emerald. Like that was a really big pivot point for me. And so like now my focus is, okay, how can I get this next friend to Emerald? You know, like that's where I am now because I want to help them get there too. So
setting goals, like when leaders stop setting goals or change their goals, or like that's when they're dying too. Like they hit their goal and they're like, hey, now I'm done.
But that's all about, yeah, and that's not a leader. That's not a leader.
Yeah.
Then, you know, that's not. And like Pat said, if it was all about me, I'd take December off. Yeah, let's just speak it. If it was all about me, I'd be like, I have a lot of stuff going on today. I'm not going to do this call. So, okay. Describe a situation in which your leadership has negatively affected a project or task, meaning like, give me an example where your leadership lead has negatively affected your business in some way. I mean, I'm happy to share if nobody else. Okay, go ahead, Sherry. Sherry, go ahead.
I think anytime can you hear me? I think anytime we take our foot off the gas, I think that can affect our leadership.
Okay.
Am I understanding your question correctly?
No, you are.
When we put the brakes on for whatever reason, I mean, I just think about when I had COVID last year, there was a month that I pretty much took off. And, you know, when you take your foot off the gas, you're not doing anything. Your team is just kind of floundering or floating, or, you know, if you're not going full speed ahead,
you're not leading
them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good. Diana, you're raising your hand too. You have a literal hand raising.
So cute. Anyway, yeah, I was gonna say, for me, it's often I have a fear of like letting people down. So like if they were to join to do the business, I have a fear that I wouldn't feel like they might not be successful or something.
You might have touched a toe there. I see somebody that I know and love has said those exact words to me. Okay. Yeah. But the cool thing is you can overcome that and you can lead them. That's why you're doing this, you know? Deanna says they lose the vision. Okay, so Deanna kind of really confirmed what Sherry just said, was like when they lose the vision if we're not keeping it in front of them. So when you take your foot off the gas, Sherry, like you said, you're not keeping the vision in front of them. So that's good. That's good. I know for me, my big leadership lid that I'm just going to be honest, and I'm still working on it. And it's creating silvers, honestly. Just, gosh, man, I know all the things to do. I know how to do it, but I've struggled to do it. And I feel like my team doesn't do it either as well. Like some of y'all do better. I'm not saying, but I mean, we're not that team that's developing silvers like some of these other teams. And I think that starts in leadership. So it starts with me. So like I'm working on it and I'm determined to figure it out. But Michelle Stuchel the other night encouraged me when she said when she finally pivoted and really started to hone in on that activity, it took her a while to really kick into gear. So that's something for all of us, you know, like do the things. I think do the things to get there, but be consistent. Don't give up. Because, you know, just like with this broken bow challenge, I'm going to be real with y'all. Like if we're in our second week and you're already dropping off and not doing stuff, like why? You know, like why? I know life hits us, but you know, there's ways to get the work done. It may not be every day. You may have to consolidate into 2 days and do it all in 2 days. You can do that. That's fine. We call it bulk IPA, bulk work. You can do that. But we give up too soon. It's just like with eating healthy and exercising. we feel like if it's not immediate results, I don't really know what it is. It's different things with different people, but we stop too soon. And so yes, Diana.
I'm sorry, that hand thing's too fun. But I was listening to Brooke yesterday, and she was saying every time she sees a team explode and people be like, what did you do? What'd you do? And she's like, every time it's always the same thing. Like they're just doing the basics. What it is once you have the basics down, you just keep doing them, eventually you get someone who has a really big network and you explode.
Yeah.
But like, she's like, you have to just keep doing the things until you can teach it without even thinking, until you can say it without even thinking. And you keep doing it. Yes. So before you have the exploder person, like, that's the trick.
Yes, that's the trick. It's like, don't just wait for that rock star, be the rock star. That means do the boring work every single day, if you will. I hate to say that, but let's just be honest. That's what holds some of us back. It's boring. Well, I know, but so is, brushing your teeth. I mean, but you have to do it, So let's make this as common, as normal as brushing our teeth. That's what my goal is with this. Okay. I don't want to, okay. Up until now, how dedicated have you been to developing yourself as a leader? I want you to be really honest, and nobody's going to get in trouble. Yes, the compound effect, Megan, that's so good. Nobody's getting in trouble. There's no judgment. This is us just being ourselves, and like, we need to be real. So up until now, how dedicated have you been to developing yourself as a leader, and how do you plan to increase that dedication? Okay, Megan says, I used to be better and more focused. I haven't even looked at my leadership in a long time. Thank you for sharing. And I know, Megan, you've had a lot going on in life, but you're making the decision to take this baton back up and run with it, And so I'm excited for you. I'm glad that you are. And I know you're going to be an amazing leader, and you already are an amazing leader. She doesn't want to give up. And that's the sign of a true leader, is you're like, I'm willing to keep growing. I'm willing to keep trying this. I know that I keep stumbling, but I don't want to quit. So that is one thing. A leader's not a quitter. They're going to everything's figure outable, right? And so that's what you're saying to me, is it's figure outable. I know my life is hectic, but I don't have to quit. I just need to reconfigure how I do this business and how I lead. Okay, somebody else. How dedicated have you been to developing yourself? Sherry?
Yeah, I just want to say that sometimes we think, I know I have thought, that just because you're doing something and you've got people doing it with you, that you're automatically a leader, but that doesn't make you a leader. And I have found that without understanding maybe the definition of leader or the laws of leadership, like we're learning, I was probably doing more management than leadership. And so for me, it's more a part about learning what exactly is a leader. I mean, maybe I have influence on people, and maybe I have a team, but that doesn't necessarily make me a leader. I mean, a leader has to step out and do the things. And so this has been really good for me to understand that there's one thing just being a person who has a team, and there's another thing being a leader of that team.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to be very open and learn like how to be a leader. I mean, some people, their personality is just more like taking the front than the back, you know, and I've probably been that most of my life. I've never been a follower. But that doesn't automatically make me a good leader, I guess is what I want to say.
No, that's good. That's good. And I mean, you can be a servant-hearted leader, in the sense, like, you can even be a quiet leader and not be in the forefront. I'm just talking about in general. That's why we're all so different, and we all lead differently, but the laws are still, they're still there, and they're still the same for all of us. Does that make sense? But we all may lead differently because we have a different approach. So, Deanna says, this is my first year. I really feel myself growing as a leader. I'm so excited for you. You have to learn to lead by influence. Joanna, I'm so excited that you're here, Joanna. I'm so excited that you're learning to be a leader and you're becoming more confident. That is, I will say, belief and confidence in yourself is crucial. You have to have it to lead. If you're always second guessing yourself and questioning yourself, you're going to really struggle. And it's the whole thing. Your team will see that you're not confident. Pat, And we're in this boat together. Okay. I was just reading everything. Okay. That's good. Okay. But what will you increase? What will you do to, so besides the study, obviously we're doing the study, right? What will you do to increase your dedication to growing as a leader, developing yourself? Pat.
I feel like a little kid saying this because I should have said it a long, long time ago, but I've just recently committed in my heart to learn the hard things that I'm not good at. I have just done that same thing you said. Oh, that's not my strong area. I'm weaker in that area. So that's just me. Well, no more. I did that dumb reel yesterday and I thought, I think I can just do this. I can do it instead of say, oh, that's not my area. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And have weekly meetings with my team. That is a weak area for me because I'm always thinking it's so hard for people to pick a time and commit. And I totally understand that, but it's crucial for a team to eye to eye.
Yeah, that's good.
Regularly.
That's good.
Pat, let me just say I had a conversation with Kaylee this morning and we are starting meetings every week. She's up for it. We're in every week.
Good. That's good. That's awesome. Okay. So, let's see, in the chat, I want you to put down who in your life has been a lid lifter to you. Who has helped you raise your lid in different ways? And it doesn't have to be somebody you actually work with. And why? Just tell me. And you can, oh, thank you. My husband. Okay. Deanna says her husband. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Sherry.
My husband too, for sure.
Yes. Your husband is, into leadership. He's all into it. And he pushes you to do it. Thank you, Sherry. Well, I'm growing as well. Oh, good. Joanna says Renee, Andrea, and Dory. Oh, thank you. We want you to be successful. Yes. Yes, Melissa. Good. They push you. And I know, I've even said this, you can say this, like I said, Brittany Howard and Christina Williams, they lift my lid. I said, if I ever feel like I'm having a down day, I'll watch one of their things or get on their page. Like, okay, they can do it. I can do it. Oh, yes. Thank you, Megan. Okay. All right. What, Sherry?
Can I share something?
Yes.
I have a friend, she's passed away now, but I had a friend, she was a pastor's wife, and she really helped me to come out of my comfort zone a lot. And I think that is something that a good leader does, to just find the gifts that people have and then help them to use them even when they're not comfortable, and to stretch them and to really just kind of hone in on their gifts and encourage them. And that's what my friend was like. I think I've shared with you girls, there was a time when if I would have stood in like this and just talk with people like this and not be on a phone where people can't see me, I would have just sat here and cried the whole time. Like that's all that I could do. And now I can do Zooms. I can talk in front of people. I'm so different, but she saw something in me that others never recognized, and she helped pull me out. And I think that is a really good sign of a good leader, to just find a gift that somebody has and help them to use it and to pull them out of their comfort zone. And
that's good. And that was my last question I was going to leave you with, just to ask yourself, write it down. How can I effectively help other people lift their lids? So that would be like your team for sure. I want you after this to maybe write down some of the people on your team you could help lift their lids if you do the things Sherry just said. Okay. Okay. So we only have 15 minutes. So we're going to go to the law of influence. So the true measure of a leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. So in the chat or out loud, are people born leaders, or is it something that you can learn? Are people born leaders, or is it something you can learn? Both. Yeah. Yeah. Both. Yeah, that's right. I mean, some people really are born leaders, but I absolutely believe anybody can learn to be a leader. Anybody can, for sure. The law of influence is about obtaining followers, which makes it the basis for leadership. So, which is interesting because I always think about, when they talk about influencers, like I don't necessarily think of them as leaders, like in the social media world. So I was trying to break that down in my mind because I think of influencers as somebody that like attracts people and people want to follow them. But are they all leaders? I don't know that they are, but that's just me musing about that. Okay. So she gives the example about Abraham Lincoln. I thought this was so interesting. He really wasn't a leader in the military. He had a rank and he had like a title, but he really didn't know what to do. So this is where it's obvious that like leadership can't be assigned. It can't be like forced. You can't tell somebody, okay, you're a leader. Somebody has to actually like either act as a leader and do the action, or they have to grow as a leader. And he wasn't a leader. He had no influence. And so I said, she said, he began as a captain, but title and position did him little good. He couldn't overcome the law of influence. But obviously, whenever he overcame his inability to influence others and obviously became the president of the United States, right? So, but we would have questions like, is our president right now even a leader? I don't know. I'm not going to say anything. Anywho, okay. Y'all love me. I'm not trying to be mean, but you know what I'm saying. It does make you think. Okay. Leadership. I like this. I love the leadership proverb that says, he who thinks he leads but has no followers is only taking a walk. If you can't influence people, then they will not follow you. And if people won't follow you, you're not a leader. That's the law of influence. No matter what anybody else may tell you, remember that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So, but the good thing is it can be learned and it can be earned. Yes. Yeah, it can be learned and it can be earned. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk about the misconceptions and myths that people embrace about leaders and leadership. Okay. Here are the 5 common misconceptions. And so the management myth is the first one. This goes back to the McDonald's story, right? Those 2 guys, they were great managers, but they were not, they can maintain direction. Managers can maintain direction, but often they can't change it. Oh, that's what caught me. Okay. Systems and processes can only do so much. To move people in a new direction, you need influence. So like it makes me think about our systems for our team, right? To duplicate. So like we have to have the systems so that things run smoothly and people know what to do, but you have to have influence to actually get the people to do it, right? So like that makes me think about the whole duplicating silvers thing. Like we have the system, but I've got to influence people to actually see the reason why they should get 3 people. And that's going to take me and you learning on my own. I love that Michelle Stuchel said, I figured it out. I watched a video and watched it 100 million times. So I got the concept down. She took her business into her own hands. She was a leader. Sherry says the definition of influence is the capacity to have an effect on character development of behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself, the power to shape policy or ensure favorable treatment from someone, especially through status, contacts, or wealth. Okay, good. Yeah, like you have to be able to shape people and get them, to do things. It's not manipulation at all. So there's that difference, right? Not manipulation, but it's to get them to see why they should want to do something though different, The other myth is it's the entrepreneur myth. Do not assume just because someone is an entrepreneur that they are a leader. So that means, to me, when we're trying to attract entrepreneurs to our business, that is step 1. But we have to understand we may attract an entrepreneur that has a great mindset with that, but they're not necessarily a leader. So like they're not one and the same. Okay. They have to learn to influence and lead people. The other one is the knowledge myth. Okay. What Sir Francis Bacon said, knowledge is power, right? Well, guess what? You do have to have knowledge. You do have to grow in your knowledge. People have to know that you know what you're talking about, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're influencing or leading them if you're keeping it all to yourself. I look at this sometimes. Okay, I want to tell y'all this. It makes me think about some of the people in Plexus who are like our go-to for like product information. But they're not diamond still, and they've been like an emerald since I first started. And there's nothing wrong with being an emerald since I first started, but I'm like, why have they not gotten a diamond by now? Well, it makes me wonder, they have so much knowledge about the products, but they haven't learned to lead a team, you know? Or maybe they have like Jessica Hugendorn, who I love her video. You know, she's diamond now. She's a naturopath, for whoever doesn't know that. But when she got to emerald, she said, on all product users, because people knew she knew what she was talking about the products. So they came to her for the health, right? But she got to emerald that way, and she was exhausted because everybody needed troubleshooting all the time. She was doing all the work herself. She wasn't duplicating. And she finally was like, I have got to do this different if I want to actually grow a business to diamond, a legacy business. And she did, she shifted. So that makes me think about her. And then the pioneer myth, another misconception. Oh, another misconception is that anyone who's in front of a crowd is a leader, kind of like what Sherry said. You know, just because you're in front of a crowd, just because, you know, you start something from the ground up doesn't actually mean you're a leader. So, I mean, these are all things like, I think we're all kind of like, wow, I thought that would be a leader. But if you're not influencing and impacting effect on people to get outside of their comfort zones, you're not. You've just made success doing something, yay, but you're not a leader. So, and then the position myth, you know, just because someone's in a certain position doesn't mean that they're actually leading. Okay, so question, what obstacles might people come up against if they have bought into one of the leadership myths? If you've bought into any of those myths, the entrepreneur myth, the knowledge myth, the pioneer myth, the position myth, the management myth, if you bought into any of those, how could that stop you, kind of, you know, like what could that do to you? Pat? Okay, so you heard the obstacles. This is where probably a book in front of you would be really good, just so y'all know, or at least the workbook. So what obstacles that I just mentioned might you come up against, or somebody that you're trying to talk to about the business, okay? What might they come up against if they bought into one of those myths? So like an example would be, well, I don't know enough, so therefore I can't lead, you know, or they can't do it, basically. They're just like, I can't do it because, you know, let me reframe it. Sorry, let me reframe this. You've already got a team, you've already got a runner, but they're like, I can never get to emerald. Right? So like, maybe they bought into one of these myths. Okay, so Deanna says, I don't have a position, so I can't lead. Yeah, that's good. Maybe she thinks, I mean, I'm not saying this about you, but I mean, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. Like, how could I lead a team to diamond? Like, I don't know anything, you know?
I think one of the problems is people want to wait until they're a leader before they work on being a leader.
Yeah.
And the fact that we have to work on being a leader before we like have people to lead sometimes is like the mind game you have to figure out, you know?
That's good. I mean, another obstacle you might think is, I don't really need personal growth. Like, I don't need to grow in any areas because of X, Y, and Z, you know? Okay. Let me
If I'm understanding this correctly, and I apply this to my life, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. Like, that's just been my thing. I always wanted to have a business at home. I had a dog grooming business and I was my own boss, and I liked that.
Yes.
But when you take that then and you try to run a team, being
Yes.
your boss doesn't make you a leader. And so there is definitely a transition there. So if somebody is an entrepreneurial, and I go right back to that example of McDonald's, you know, like just because they did what they did and they did a great thing didn't make them the leader of a multi-billion-dollar business.
Yes. So that would be, you bought into one of the, I mean, not you, but you could buy into one of these myths that, okay, just because I'm an entrepreneur, I can do the business like and lead a team. Well, no, you still have to grow. You have to grow as a leader. Absolutely.
What we're learning is so much more than just products. We're learning, you know, mindset things, head trash. I mean, there's so many things that we can learn and grow with as, you know, we are taking that leadership position, that it amazes me. Like I never thought I was going to get deep into some of the heart issues that
Yeah.
I have since I started Plexus. It's so much more than the products. And I love that.
Oh, absolutely. And like Deanna's even saying, she's learning to lead her own kids better. And I mean, I'm like that too. I'm like, I'm just going to tell y'all, having teenagers, and like some of them have been easy and some of them are hard. And I was thought, I never signed up to be this. I never wanted to be like I've even told my husband, like, I never went into management and like life because like I didn't want to tell people what to do. I want people to just do the right thing, do what they're supposed to do. And here I am, like, I'm not only managing, but I'm learning to lead. And so young adults, right? So this is honestly helping me with parenting. I'm not even kidding. That's so you. Yeah, I'm like, y'all just do what you got to do. Like, I don't want to lead you. I mean, I love you and I want to love you and support you, but there's a difference between, this is big. I mean, it's big. Okay, so last question, the application aspect, okay? How do people become leaders? Okay, what kind of things do they desire? And there is a part that lists it, you know. So does anybody happen to know, like, what are the key areas that help somebody become a leader? This isn't a trick question, it's in the book, but I might get y'all started if nobody's gonna pop up because we don't have a lot of time. Character, who you are as a person, your character. Get good, Deanna. Character is foundational. You bring someone into our business, into your team, and they have great character, you can work with that because they're gonna be coachable. They're gonna have integrity. You can count on them. They're gonna be willing to grow. I mean, I'm just gonna embarrass somebody, but like Joanna, like I've recognized that from the beginning with Joanna under Renee. Like she has such a strong character and she wants to do this whole thing with integrity and do it well. And she's dependable. She's already showed me she's going to do what she says. She's a woman of her word. She's going to communicate well. If she can't do something, she's going to message me and let me know she can't and why. Her character. So that speaks volumes to me. I mean, you can give me somebody, you can give me someone that has a ton of influence, if you will, like a following, and maybe they have a lot of friends, but if they're not willing to be coachable and they're hit and miss if they're going to respond, you know, all those kind of things, like that's hard. That can be really frustrating. Yeah. Okay, so Pat says life experience and a desire to help make a difference. Absolutely. Yeah. So like they give in here. So relationships is another one. Who you know, that's going to help you become a leader. So does that mean you cannot do this if you don't know a lot of people? Well, no, you can, because you can learn to grow as a leader and you're going to learn how to meet new people. So, and create new relationships if you don't have a lot of relationships. Knowledge. You have knowledge, intuition. You know, a lot of this business, guys, is so many nuances. It's unreal. Like it is hard. I mean, we've talked about this. There are people that are very black and white. And sometimes like I have to go, how do I communicate this to them? Because like I'm having a hard time because so much of it is intuition and you have to grow in intuition as a leader. You have to be able to read your team. So if you are a super black and white person and this is hard for you, good news is you can grow in this area. So get a podcast on it and just learn it. you have to have experience, which is what Pat said. You have to have past success. Hey there, little sweet girl, Miriam. Hey Miriam. She's so precious. I almost called her Ariel. Sorry. I was like, oop, that's not her name. I'm like her mom, Ariel. I guess. Okay. Past success, what you have done. Remember what I said. You don't have to have and I want everybody that's listening to this recording, because I know we've talked about this with other people on my team. Just because you haven't been, quote, successful yet in this business doesn't mean that you don't know how to produce success. You've been successful in raising young adults. You've been successful at homeschooling 3 or 4 kids. You've been successful at building a house. I don't know. I'm just giving you ideas. Like, and you've been successful at leading a homeschool co-op, so you have been successful. And then your ability, what you can do. Anybody can do this business. It's simple, but it's hard, but you have ability. Like, you have the ability to learn to do a reel when that's so out of your comfort zone. So ability is huge. Okay, well, that's it. So I would just leave you with just thinking about, what do you desire this week as a leader to level up in? Feel free. I mean, if I'm your sponsor, maybe just send me a little quick message and just say, I want to level up in blank. I just want to know, because I want to know how to encourage you. And if you're under Dory and not under me, you know who you are. Send a message to Dory. I think there is something to saying it out loud and writing it down than just thinking it to yourself. So, all right, y'all. You'll go out there and make some leaders, grow as a leader. Y'all have a blessed weekend. Yes, Pat.
I was just going to say really quick, do y'all know how to save the chat? Some of you may not care. Some of you may wish to. If you're on your computer, you have the ability to save that chat in a Word document. I just wanted to pass that along because so many times you watch one of these and the chat is lost. So
That's right.
It's helpful.
You click the little dots and you click save chat and it's saved. Very good. Very good.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Pat. That's good. Good tip. All right. Y'all have a blessed Friday.